Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and this video honestly really sucks to make. This is one that I feel like I've been kind of putting off a little bit. I don't know if it really should have taken me this long to come to this conclusion, but I really wanted to be sure before I made something like this, before I made an announcement like this. I mean, ultimately, it was a pretty massive decision, and it's one that I really didn't want to have to make. It's one that, I had to confront over the last few months. I've really been kind of pondering over pretty much any option that has come to mind, any option that has been suggested to me by people in private. And honestly, I just really think that for me, for the game, and for realistically the future of what I can create down the road, it's probably best to just do this now. And it's unfortunate because, I put a lot of time and effort and passion into this project, but unfortunately today, I have to announce to everybody that I will be canceling my game project that I've been working on, Optimus Zombies. Now, this is something that I announced back in, last year. It was late last year, October, November area, right? And you guys were very supportive of the idea. I posted gameplay and screenshots on Twitter and a lot of different progress updates, talked about what I, wanted to put in the game, what I wanted to do with the game, and the feedback was incredible, man. People were very supportive, but unfortunately, there's been a pretty disappointing string of events that have happened in the development of this game that realistically, a lot of is completely out of my control, but such is life, man. You can't control the outcome of everything. You can't figure every little thing out, right? Not everything goes your way. And, I'm a pretty young guy. It's tough to learn that this way, and it's tough to learn that sometimes anyway, but, that's just the reality of the world we live in. So, in this video, I kind of want to go over all of the different reasons as to why this is basically the outcome that has happened. So for those of you who really haven't paid attention or didn't know because you didn't see the tweets or anything like that, I have been working on a game project that I was anticipating on releasing this year, and it was called Optimus Zombies. Now, it was just like a round-based little zombie shooting game, kind of like Call of Duty Zombies. That was honestly the main inspiration, and I just wanted to make a game with a different art style than what like Call of Duty Zombies goes with because, it's like COD graphics or whatever. I wanted to do something like more poly-based and like cartoony and goofy, amp up like the ragdoll animations, bring in like combo counters, bring in some new different type of weapons and like, different things to the game. Like there was a bunch of stuff we had planned for it. We had functioning multiplayer. It had global leaderboards. There was going to be unlockable camos and other different things under other unlockables. Easter eggs, post-launch support with new maps and everything. And it was all feasible. I went through, I pieced it all together. The plan was put together. I spent weeks, if not months, before even like getting the game started on development, just kind of designing every little thing I could, with drawings or, writing descriptions of what I want here and what I want there, to the point that there was starting to be a whole game formed. And then it was to be broken up over a few different phases of development. We got through phase 1. We pretty much got through phase 2 as well, and we're moving into phase 3 when a pretty unfortunate circumstance arose. So during phase 2, in early December, I posted some gameplay from one of the maps. Well, actually, I should probably go back a little earlier than that. So let's go back to the beginning of development because, going chronologically probably makes this easier to explain. So we got, the first, I guess, basic versions of the game back, and we noticed, well, I should say I noticed, and the people who play tested noticed, obviously, that the map that was in the demo was a complete, pretty much remake of Kino der Toten from Call of Duty Zombies. Now, at this point, not a problem in our minds, right? Because obviously, this is a map that is not going to get released with the game. It is not going to launch even in the files or anything like. This is simply a periodic playtest map with a like well-known map, I guess, in this kind of like game genre. And so I was like, okay, this is like a little playtest map, little demo map or whatever, right? This is not the original maps that I had, in mind, because I had like, off the top of my head, I think I had like 7 or 8 maps with names and everything that I wanted put in the game that were original, right? But considering this was extremely early into the development, I'm like, okay, it's just a little playtest map, something they threw together to kind of show us the mechanics of the weapons and the zombie spawns and whatnot. So didn't really see any sort of issue. We start moving forward a little bit in development. That's when the original maps, quote unquote, start kind of coming in, right? Start kind of getting put into the game by the developers and everything. And keep in mind, I did not develop the game. I outsourced outsourced the development of the game to what I thought was a pretty reputable team of freelance game designers. They had hundreds of reviews. I mean, very good reviews. They had a lot of experience on several different projects that were listed on Steam. Like, these guys had a decent amount of public experience shared with different games. So, you know, they ended up getting the budget and whatnot to work with and everything. I was like the creative developer. Like, I helped, you know, decide the artistic direction of the game. I helped, well, I was supposed to be the one designing the original maps and helping them get an idea of what I wanted designed and whatnot on the maps. I was doing the entire marketing for the game, preparing, I should say, the entire marketing for the game. All that stuff, right? So while I was doing all the stuff like on paper and in the background and kind of, you know, planning everything, they were the ones doing the actual game building and map building and whatnot, right? So fast forward a little bit later into development and we get back some of the quote-unquote original maps. Now, one of the maps, I'll just explicitly say, was Bank. That was one that I had basically written out like a pretty detailed description of like what I wanted with the game. Like, I broke down a bunch of different things that I wanted, you know, went through piece by piece, wrote documents and whatnot to help them kind of figure it out. Now, obviously, you know, Bank is supposed to be inside of a bank. You know, there's bank vaults, bunch of zombies, you know, coming in from all the different rooms in the bank. Just kind of like a smaller zombie map that you just kind of like, you know, focus on staying in the building, right? You just stay inside the bank and, you know, kill zombies. Really not that hard to grasp, right? So we ended up getting it back and playtesting it. And I released some gameplay, like some just like 45-second clip, I guess, of gameplay to Twitter. And the feedback was once again great. Like, people were really excited, you know, can't wait to play this. You know, there were other YouTubers even at this point that were like interested in getting their hands on the game when it came out for like background gameplay and to like make content around and stuff. And unfortunately though, a few of the tweets pointed out something that realistically derailed the entire project. And I'm not blaming the people who pointed this out, because realistically, they saved me a lot of money, they saved me a lot of time, and they helped me make ultimately the right decision. But a few people pointed out that the map, Bank, that was shown in the gameplay was pretty much a direct and blatant ripoff of a map from another smaller game by the name of Perfect Heist 2. Now, personally, I'd never heard of this game. I didn't know what the fuck that was, so obviously I'm pretty confused when I see that comment. I'm like, wait, what's going on, right? Now, of course, I go look on Steam, and Perfect Heist 2 is a game that is round-based, it's online, and it's like cops and robbers, I believe. But it's pretty much the same kind of art style, probably even realistically a lot of the same like assets from the same engine and whatnot for like creative people and stuff. You can buy like on like this, on like, I guess, Unity Workshop and stuff, you can buy assets that you can use in your game. It's a pretty standard practice in the gaming industry, but it was pretty clear that this map was just a complete and blatant ripoff of this map. And now, obviously, that's a problem, because you can't just be putting out games where the maps are, you know, ripoffs of other maps from other games, right? And so at this point, you know, that starts to throw a little bit of a wrench in the, oh, these are just like demo placeholder maps. Like, this was supposed to be an original map, and it was clearly not an original map. So at this point, you know, I start to get, like, to raise a question, I guess, with the developers. I mean, I'm obviously pretty mad figuring this out. Like, why are we stealing people's maps from other games and then passing them off as these being original content? Keep in mind, I'm spending thousands of dollars per month developing this game. It was not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't like this was just some bullshit thrown together slop fest, right? Like, I personally, out of pocket, spent thousands upon thousands of dollars that I will never get back developing this game. And honestly, I've come to peace with that. That's fine. You know, that didn't kill me financially. I can still pay my bills. Does it suck losing out on that money and then also losing out on a game that I was passionate about? But yeah, it does. But I mean, that's part of life, man. That's just what happened here. So obviously this raises a lot of fucking questions. You know, the alarms are going off at this point, right? And I'm talking to the people on my team like, what the fuck should I do here? And so they eventually kind of like understand that this is not acceptable, right? And they offer to like figure it out and like redesign new maps or whatever. But honestly, at this point, right, they put in the Keynoter Toten demo map, okay? So that was already kind of, you know, maybe not something that should have been done in all reality, but like it wasn't really, I feel like the end of the world. It was just a placeholder map. It wasn't really meant to, you know, stay in the game or anything. But these were maps that were intended on staying in the game, right? Like these were going to be maps that we launched with. And at this point, there were a couple other maps in the game. And at this point, I just kind of realized like any single one of these maps could just be blatant ripoffs of other maps from from other games. Now, obviously, if it was like a Call of Duty Zombies map, I would have been able to tell because I played pretty much all of the Zombies maps. But, you know, if it came from some, you know, obscure indie game or something like that, I would have never have been able to tell. And there's a pretty good chance that we would have released with, you know, me and the other people who were working behind the scenes on the game with me and helping playtest, we would have launched the game with these maps in them, not knowing that these were like, you know, other games basically. And that probably would have created a pretty massive controversy, and rightfully so. I would have looked like a complete fucking moron, and rightfully so. So, you know, people pointing that out in the comments of that tweet realistically helped me second guess what the developers were doing. And, you know, like I said, they offered to remake new maps and whatnot, and from my recollection, they did end up presenting us with new maps, but at this point, I kind of realized, like, if they did that once, and they thought that I wasn't gonna notice or whatever, and they gleefully took the money, what exactly stops them from doing it again? And if they do it again, what if, you know, I don't realize in time and this game releases like this? So at this point, I obviously completely had lost trust in the developers. Like, they lied straight to my face about these placeholder maps, pretending like these were not going to be something that were launched in the game like other games as maps, and then that's exactly what they intended on doing. And it's just actually fucking mind-blowing to me that they pulled that. They thought they were going to pull that off. Like, they had no regard for how this could have went for me. They didn't care whatsoever that I could have gotten completely fucked. Like, I'm certain that could have, like, probably opened me up to legal action, like some sort of copyright infringement or something. Like, that could have just completely fucked me, I feel like, and they had no regard for that. So at this point, I lost trust in the developers. You know, thousands of dollars had been sank into a game where I wasn't even at this point sure if the maps and whatnot that were being made for the game were even legit. And so at that point, I decided to pause development of the game. This is around mid-December, late December at this point. And I figured, you know, I'll take a few weeks away from the game to just kind of think about my options, think about exactly what I can do moving forward to kind of remedy this situation in the right way. And I did come up with a few other options. I mean, there were a few options that weren't just outright canceling the project. At first, I was looking for other development teams that had adequate experience making a game, at least multiplayer, and first-person shooter. I didn't really find any teams that I felt that I could trust, and to go actually hire like real game developer studios or something like that, I would have had to just completely explode the budget of the game. I mean, initially I didn't want to spend more than like $10,000 developing the game, and thankfully I didn't. We got pretty close to that number after the first few phases of development, and thinking things were going well, I was willing to up the budget personally. Like, I was willing to put more money towards this game, because you have to understand, making a video game is a dream of mine. Like, before I was doing YouTube, like, my dream at one point was to go work for Rockstar Games and become a game developer. I love video games. I have a huge passion for video games, and I've always wanted to have the experience of being able to say I put my own game out there. And at the same time, I realized that video games are an art form, and I was not going to be able to deliver on what was being promised at this point. I mean, like, we had a bunch of features lined up, but as time was going on, like, there was no adequate way to continue working with these developers. There was no way to trust them. I couldn't verify even everything that they were doing anymore. And instead of putting out some subpar, shitty product that was, you know, butchered together from the works of several different game studios and putting out something I wasn't proud of, I'd rather just eat the thousands of dollars I lost and just not put the game out. Like, I'm not going to put something out that I'm not proud of, that I don't think is something that is going to be good. Like, that just doesn't feel right to me. And I mean, I could have. Like, I easily could have just fucking pieced together what was left of the game. And I mean, it was in a functional state. Like, I mean, if it released within a few months, it could have been where it needed to be if I wanted to take the generic game dev route and just release some unfinished shit. But that's not me. That's not what I wanted to do. That's not the right thing to do for the people who were excited for this game. I mean, there were so many people who even like over the last few months have continued to ask me questions like, hey, when are we getting, you know, Optimus Zombies? When are we going to know more about the game? You know, like, when are you going to fucking release some gameplay, bro? And people were excited. And that's what hurts the most. Like, I see those tweets and I'm like, these people don't even understand what's happening in the background, right? And that's why over the last couple of days, I've really just been giving it a lot more thought. I'm like, dude, it's been pretty much about 6 months now since we paused development. And I've been weighing over all these other options all this time. is it just best to get rid of it now, you know, to just say it's over with, cut our losses and move on? And that is the option I chose. But I mean, I could have went with other developers. I could have tried to trust these developers. I could have even tried to pick it up myself, but I just don't have the know-how to make a game like this on my own and just pick up that project like that moving forward. And in order to fix the fuck-ups that were done with this project and the trust that was destroyed, honestly, I probably would have had to triple what I already invested in the game just to make it be where it needed to be. And it's not feasible. It's just not realistic. It's not realistic to, you know, spend upwards of like, $25,000 or something to try and repiece this entire project that has been completely fractured by theft of other people's shit. And, you know, it would have been different if the developers had just kind of like indicated that these maps were just playtesters, but they like sent these back as, at least in the bank situation, they sent that back as like a finished map that was supposed to go out. That was the problem. It wasn't a playtester. It wasn't some throwaway map where, you know, it's just to test mechanics and whatnot. It was supposed to be released. And to me, that's just not acceptable. I mean, when you work in business with people, you're supposed to be honest and upfront. You're supposed to tell the truth. And I know a lot of people don't do that, but I don't see there's no reason to lie to me. Like, if this was just like a testing map or whatever, and you told me that outright, I would not have had a problem with that. I would have been very, you know, understanding, and it wouldn't have been a big deal, but I just can't accept that kind of bullshit, right? Like, I can't tolerate that. And at this point, it just doesn't really work anymore as a project. Like, there's no way really to pick up where we left off in a way that's gonna release this project in a good state. And sure, that really hurts me. And that's why over the last few months, I've been really hesitant to even make this decision, right? Like, I've really been trying to justify how I can work another option out, right? Like, well, maybe if I do just put more money into this game, I can do this and I can do that. But will it be what I want it to be regardless? If I do put more money into it, is there a way for it to come out in the original vision that I had for the game? Probably not. I really just don't see a way for it now. And that sucks to say. I hate to walk away from it. I hate to feel like I failed and like I just didn't get done what I wanted to get done. I'm a really competitive person. I really beat myself up about shit. Like, I really am very self-critical. And it does make me feel like I lost and like I fucked up. And, you know, maybe that's just part of business. Maybe that's just part of how this works, bro. Maybe this was just a big learning experience for me, and I can kind of take what I learned from all this going forward, and then when I do get to create the game that I want to make down the road, I can remember back on this as like a fucking trial or tribulation or whatever to what I really want to make. So ultimately, this has not deterred me from my goal of making and releasing a video game. I mean, that's gonna happen. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not gonna let some bullshit that derailed this game be the end-all be-all of my dream, right? Like, I'm going to release a game. I'm gonna release something that I'm personally proud of. And yeah, it's not gonna be Optimus Zombies. That's fine though, because there's other ideas that I have. I mean, I've been throwing around the RPG idea for a while, and I even have a lot of that kind of worked on with the whole Polkra thing that I worked on for a while in RPG Maker. And even Fortnite, like with the whole Epic Games, like Fortnite Unreal Editor thing, where you can kind of create your own games and whatnot in Fortnite. I've kind of been experimenting with that, with the idea maybe of releasing something on Fortnite for people to play. I mean, it wouldn't really be my own original game or anything, but I have a pretty good understanding of how to use that software. So I don't know, it's an unfortunate experience, man. It really is. But at the end of the day, this is the decision that I have to make. This is what I have to do. And even though it's not the comfortable one or the one that I really want to take, it's just the way it is. And I'm really sorry. I really am. Like, I feel like I disappointed a lot of people. I feel like I fucked up, you know? I feel like my inability to verify what these developers were doing is what really was the downfall. And, you know, maybe I should have been more hands-on. Maybe I should have done some things differently. And, well, going forward, I know that now. So it is shitty to have so many people be excited for something like this and to have to make this announcement. I mean, I feel like I really have disappointed people. I mean, like I said, there were people who were still asking questions about the game and about when it was going to come out and whether or not there would be a beta they could play and things like that. And also just being like really passionate about this idea. Like, at one point, man, I was working on this like 8-9 hours a day, like on just the game itself, like just building and fleshing out the concept and getting all the details perfect to what I wanted out of it. And Honestly, all for naught, but really all for naught, I can't say that. So with that being said, man, thank you guys for watching. I really hope you guys understand. Like, it is a tough thing to announce and have to say, but I mean, I'm not going to come on here and mince words with you guys and lie and pretend that something's coming out that's not coming out. I've made the decision. I really made it yesterday, and I was like, you know, I need to make a video when I can about this, and I'm not going to hold off anymore, man. I'm just going to say it how it is. So with that being said, thank you all for watching, and until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, canceling Optimus Zombies, and signing out.